I just wanted to quit so badly.
The bottoms of my toes just started to be rubbed raw. I was gonna pass out.
My dumb ape brain is just screaming at me to just like stop this.
Do I just call it quits here?
And it was like the heat of day and the sun is just beating on you.
And you've done all this training and they're basically saying, we don't know if the race is gonna actually happen.
In 2018, more than 108,000 people finished ultramarathons in the US alone.
Courtney won the Moab 240, which is a 238-mile endurance race.
Moab 240, a foot race that starts and finishes in Moab, Utah.
Marathon used to be long distance, now marathon is nothing anymore, now it's ultramarathons.
Half the runners never see the finish line.
About 5 weeks out from Kodiak 100, and this is where it gets tough because this is where we need to build and start peaking. It's tough.
My name is Lofton Dortch. I am a registered nurse, co-founder of Uni, and I am running the Kodiak 100 Ultramarathon. When I was younger, I started out playing baseball. So baseball was my thing from Little League up through high school. I would do some running with baseball, but it was kind of just like, if you got in trouble, it's your coach is like, run some poles. So we'd run, you know, like back and forth. So running was always sort of looked on as like punishment.
My name's Alex Pastorkovich. I'm the co-founder of Uni, and I'm about to run the Moab 240, which is a 240-mile ultramarathon through Moab, Utah. Growing up, I was somewhat like moderately athletic. I didn't really play a ton of sports, but baseball was my biggest one. I hated running. I was slow. People used to make fun of me.
Even in college, I wasn't doing much running. Like, it still wasn't my thing. But as I got older, I kind of got bored with weight training. I was like, okay, what else is there? And so I got into running. And what I really liked as far as running goes was being able to get out on trails.
I always hated cardio. Could barely run a mile, like never did a bike or Stairmaster or anything like that until the pandemic happened. And all the gyms shut down, and so I was kind of left without any sort of fitness or any sort of exercise. I started running every day, just a couple miles to kind of start out, and eventually one of my buddies at work brought up this idea of running a 100-mile ultramarathon, and I was like, that is crazy.
Everybody just talked about how New York City Marathon is like once in a lifetime. It's an amazing experience, just the energy of the city, and you run through all 5 boroughs. And so I got really excited about that. I was like, oh, that sounds like such a fun thing, because I never thought about doing like marathons before.
Never thought I would do that in my life. I never thought I wanted to do that in my life. But he was like, hey, me and CJ are gonna sign up for this 100-mile ultramarathon. Do you wanna do it with us? And I just said, sure.
So I finished that. And that's when I finished, running 26.2. And I was like, man, I wonder if I can run a little bit further.
Ran that first one, fell in love with it, and then it's just continued from there.
It is 6 a.m. on August 25th. We are 47 days out from Moab. I'm about to go drive out to Boulder, Colorado. We're doing about a 27, 28 miler today. Got all my gear packed.
You can only train so hard. Like, I think a lot of people think that you're out there every weekend running like 50, 75 miles training for this. It's like, it doesn't work like that. Like, you'll kill yourself.
This race, training-wise, was different from any of my previous races. It just had to be a lot more locked in. Like, I'd always trained hard for my other races, but this one, just knowing the mileage, and especially as you get into those later miles, like after mile like 60, it's just like your legs are already fatigued and you're starting to feel it, and you just have to keep pushing through. So your legs just have to be used to running on fatigue, basically.
Every aid station was about 14 to 20 miles apart from each other. So rather than trying to go out and run 40, 50 miles at a time. I was trying to get really good at running from anywhere between like 14 to 20 miles. Being able to do that like very consistently, daily, easily, that was something I never really did before. It's a longevity game for sure.
It's more of like weekly mileage. So I'm gonna try to do 50 miles this week, and then the next week I'm gonna do 60. And then you keep building up those weekly mileage so that you're running on fatigued legs pretty much constantly.
All right, we're about 52 days out from Kodiak 100. Doing a little climb day today, did about 2,800 feet in about 5 miles. So we're at the top, and now we'll head back down. Got the old trekking poles out today. Good day.
One thing that was really nice was having Lofton be able to do a race around the same time as I was too.
We both run ultramarathons, and we both ended up running races and signing up for races that happened to be the same weekend and started on a Friday, like 2 hours apart from each other.
Because we were going out on the trails together, getting all those long runs in, those long miles. It gets kind of lonely out there when you're by yourself, so it was really nice having somebody else to kind of do those miles with. So we're getting ready to head out to Moab tomorrow. We're starting to pack everything up. Look at all of this stuff. Prepping for a race like that was insane and nothing like I've done before. Like I've prepped for hundreds before, but this was, 2.5 of those. We got 2 bladders just in case something happens to one. We got poles, a couple hats, 4 pairs of shorts here, rain jacket, puffy jacket, 3 pairs of running shoes, all ultra.
Less than 24 hours out, I'm getting my pack all set up. Got it hooked up there. My 2 drop bags.
So like I would say 14 to 20-ish miles, there's an aid station. There's certain ones where you're allowed to have crew that. So like where my family could come with the car and bring me whatever. And then there's certain ones where there's nobody there. Where you can bring like a drop bag as well. And so before the race, you fill it up with whatever you want in there, and then they'll drop it at those stations. And so at pretty much all of those, I packed a bag full of something. Like there's some stuff in there that I need, anything from like gels to powders to, extra socks, or like I threw some like Tylenol, ibuprofen in there if I needed that.
My drop bags, I had 2. Since my wife showed up to a couple of the aid stations, she brought some extra stuff with her that she just had. But 2 of the aid stations, I didn't have any people crewing me at. I would have some drop bags, and basically in there, I had extra lubrication for chafing in case I was chafing. I had sunscreen. I had an energy drink, extra gels so I could take out my old ones, chapstick. I kept wipes in my bag in case I needed to use the bathroom. Like in past races, there were times where I almost had to go in the woods. I didn't have to. This time, I only needed to go at the aid stations where they had porta potties, which ended up working out great. But before, it's like, if you're out in the woods and you have to go and you don't have anything to properly clean yourself, oof, you're in trouble.
We want to get back to our wildfires right now, and thousands of people have been displaced as the line fire continues to tear through San Bernardino County. Since it started last Thursday, it has burned more than 37,000 acres and right now stands at 21% contained. NBC4's Amber Frias joins us live from Big Bear. That's one of the new areas of concern as we head into this weekend.
Leading up to the race, we were probably like a month out. We start getting these emails. There's some forest fires going on over near Big Bear where I'm running the race. And so a lot of the trails that we were supposed to be running on had been shut down. So it's kind of like, we'll keep you updated, but we're only a month out and you've done all this training, and they're basically saying, we don't know if the race is going to actually happen.
The timing it kind of sucks, because when you are almost done with training is kind of when your mileage is the highest. And so you're just so done with running. Like I was so ready to be done with the whole training. I wanted to just get to the race already. I always say like getting to the start line of a race like this is really like the finish line, because you put in all those miles, all that training up to this point. And this is just sort of like the celebration of all that hard work.
You're just preparing so hard. And I just felt like if this race does not happen, I'm gonna feel so defeated. Like you put in all that time, you put in all that effort, and now like, I'm not just gonna go out and run 100 miles. There's gotta be, it's the race. Like, there's gotta be people there. It's gotta be a thing that's put together. That's the thing about training. It's like you finish a run, there's nobody there like, yeah, you just ran 50 miles, good job. You're just like, all right, I just spent my afternoon on the trail. I'm gonna go home. We didn't get the final decision until like a week before the race was actually gonna even happen, where they were finally like, we have adjusted the course slightly, but the Forest Service has given us the okay to continue with the race. That was a huge relief because I was just stressing the whole time leading up to that. I was just a huge weight off my shoulders that I was gonna be able to do the thing that I set out to do originally. That time like leading up to the race is always tricky because you've got to check in, you've got to drop off your drop bags, which have some extra gear and things like that. And then you've got to pick up your number, your bib, so you can put that on. After that's done, there's still like this weird amount of time where you're like ready to go, but like you're not ready yet. So you're just kind of sitting there like, your adrenaline's getting pumped up, but you're just kind of trying to like sit still and, you know, drink some fluids and all that.
There's definitely a level of nervousness. I've never gone a distance like this before. I knew it was gonna be hard, I knew it was gonna suck, but I knew I was excited for it. And so most of it was excitement. And I think the fact that I've done multiple races like this before, it definitely helped. It definitely calmed the nerves a lot more. There's always some at the start, but I knew that I could get through hundreds. I've done that before. And so this was that, but a little bit longer.
Is it feeling real yet?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
If I get lost, hurt, or die, it's my own damn fault. It's my own damn fault.
Once you get out there, once that gun goes off at the start line, like, you don't really think about much else other than running. So all the nerves kind of, as soon as you start, the nerves are gone.
Yeah, that energy just like right off the bat is like super, super high. It's actually kind of hard. You kind of have to like dial yourself back because you feel great and you feel like, oh, I could go out and, you know, start running like 8-minute miles and just like cruise. But then it's like, okay, we've got a long day, you know, a long 28 hours or whatever to go. So it's just like pulling yourself back, enjoying it. Like that beginning part is probably when you enjoy it the most because you're just like, everybody's there, the energy's high, you're feeling good.
Everybody's, you know, excited, your adrenaline's going, everybody's heart rate is probably like twice as high as it should be. I don't do well in the heat, and so that was my biggest factor going into this, was like, okay, I know it's gonna be hot. I was hoping it wouldn't be, but it was.
20 miles in, and it is hot. I think it's close to 100 degrees.
My biggest thing was making sure I had enough water and making sure I didn't get dehydrated. And so I packed, in my little pack, I had 3 liters behind me, like a reservoir, and then I had a liter here, and then I had a spare like half liter there. So I had like 4.5 liters of water on me, which is probably close to like 10 pounds worth of fluids. So carrying that on your back for that long is a lot, but I knew I wouldn't be able to finish it unless I had, you know, that proper hydration.
The one thing I didn't really take into consideration, which I knew it would play a factor, I just didn't know how much, was the elevation. Because up in Big Bear, you're at about 7,000 feet of elevation, and then you're running above that for a good portion of the race as well. I told myself the whole training set, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go up to Big Bear, I'm gonna do some training runs, but I never did. Like, you just run out of time. And I'd say the first like 15, 20 miles, I felt really good. Right around that 30-mile mark, I started really feeling it. Like, my stomach felt terrible, super nauseous. And then also my legs just felt super fatigued, like way more fatigued than they should have at 30 miles. Especially my mind was kind of like what's going on? Because I knew I'd been training, I had put in a lot of work, I felt extremely prepared, and then I'm like, why are my legs so fatigued already? And we've still got 70 miles to go.
That whole first day was super hot. There were points, I think, where it was about 100 degrees. There were a lot of people that dropped like the first day. I don't know exactly how many people dropped, but there was a lot of them. And some like good runners too, some people I'd like known about. All I was looking forward to was the nighttime. Because like usually when it gets cool, I'm able to like push the mileage, I'm able to run a lot faster, able to make up a lot of time that I maybe would have taken slower during the day when it was so hot.
I met my wife at mile 38. There was an aid station. And that was definitely the absolute lowest point of the whole race.
How strong do your legs feel?
About 4.
Okay, south of neutral. And 0 to 10, how sturdy emotionally do you feel?
About a 5.
It crossed my mind, even though it was early, it's like, maybe I'm gonna just like not do this. Like, what am I doing this for? Why am I running 100 miles? Those are the things that start going through your mind when you start having like doubt. I luckily had some medication, some Zofran for nausea. And I think this is one of those times where I was super glad, because I had told people I was training for this like since I signed up. And everybody knows I'm running this race right now. And so if I quit, I'm gonna call them, they're gonna be like, hey, how was the race? And it's like, well, I dropped out at mile 38. So the more I started thinking about that, I'm like, hell no, like, I'm not doing that.
So the first night came and it didn't really get cooler. Barely, like the sun went down, I was getting excited. It got a little bit cooler, which was nice for sure. But it was still probably in like the 70s.
Once I started moving and got past that barrier, I started to feel a lot better. My legs loosened up. They weren't feeling as tired. My nausea had died down. And so I was like, okay, now we can keep going. And that pushing through that point was the hardest part. After that, I felt tired, but like mentally, physically, I could revert back to that feeling at mile 38 and be like, I don't feel like that. I'm doing pretty well. So they say like night miles don't count. So it's like you usually actually feel pretty good running through the night, but like mentally, when it's dark out, you get separated from people. You can usually see like headlamps. Like I'll see a headlamp up front and then I'll look behind me and I can see like a headlamp in the back. So once I made it through the night though, it was really good because the sun starts coming up and that's kind of when you hit your second wind where you're like, oh yes.
Day 2 was pretty much like day 1, only it felt like day 2, where it was just as hot. The distance from aid stations was just as long. You know, it was just chipping away at the miles without getting, you know, myself in a bad position. There's one point I think I took a video of myself where it's just like nothing. And the sun is just beating down on you, and I was out of water and there was, you know, 5, 6, 7, I don't even remember how many miles left to go, and I was like one little sip like every half mile until I got there.
I was so dehydrated. Just taking a couple stops to try to absorb some water while I'm in the shade.
There were points where I was actually nervous that like I might pass out, and there wasn't anybody there for, you know, miles, because everybody would get so stretched out on a distance like that. Towards the end of day 2, I was able to meet up with my family, crawl in the car, pass out for, you know, an hour or so, get some real food, you know, take a little time to, you know, change clothes, things like that. Feel like a somewhat normal person again. Having a crew there was just so incredibly helpful. I was so delirious. You'll see in some of the videos, like there's nobody home up here, like lights on, nobody's home. I'm just like staring like this. And so having people be able to like think rationally for me, like, hey, do you need this? Hey, I'm getting this for you. I was like, okay. Yeah, it was incredibly important to have people there.
Woo!
Running a distance like this, I've never done before. So I've always done the 100 milers, and I had done a couple of those. And the nice thing about those, I've never really had to like deal with sleep during those. Since you have that 24 to 40 hour period, you can pretty much like push it through and kind of muscle it if you're tired. With this one, it was like a whole different beast because, you know, there's like 4 to 5 days worth of running. And so you're gonna have to take breaks at some point. And so I was kind of struggling to kind of determine what the best plan was there of like, how long do you sleep? Like, do you sleep longer in hopes that you're like feel more rested and then can move a little bit faster? Or do you sleep less and just in order to keep going and keep moving?
Mile 80 was the other big checkpoint where you've run 80 miles. I finally met my wife again at that aid station.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Almost there.
Yeah.
Stretch.
You seem better than last night.
Oh yeah, way better.
So it's like home stretch. I was like, well, I'm on the home stretch, even though you still 20 miles when you're going, 13, 14 minute mile pace. It's gonna take you a long time, but it's like, oh, I'm on the home stretch.
Throughout the whole race, I probably ended up sleeping maybe around 4.5 hours. And so that was across the span of 100 hours. There were times during the race where I would be running at night and your eyes start going and you would catch myself like falling asleep kind of like while running. And so at that point, I would just stop. You just lay on the dirt somewhere for 5-10 minutes and then, get up and keep going. There was one point where I went to lay down. I think my nap in total was 2 minutes, but I had like a full-on dream, like a full dream state. It was a really weird dream. I won't tell you what it was, but it was a very vivid, real dream. And within 2 minutes, I was up and I felt like I slept like an entire night. So I think we were about 64 hours in at this point, and I just wanted to quit so badly. It was sort of slowly progressing. We were on this dirt road for 26 miles almost, and it was like 4 a.m. It was like the middle of the night. You're 64 hours in. I had slept probably 2.5 hours at this point, so I'm delirious. I'm underhydrated, malnourished. I had this pain on on my shins that it was just getting worse with like every step I took. And it was just like totally breaking my will. And at that point, I'm at like the absolute bottom of Maslow's hierarchy. And it's just like my dumb ape brain is just screaming at me to just like stop this.
I made it to mile 90, had 10 miles left. That was a hard section just because 10 miles does not feel like a lot compared to running 90, but it takes way longer than you think it'll take. So even though in my mind I was like, okay, we're almost done. Like this is literally the last little stretch. This is taking way longer than I thought it would. Got trekking poles and you're just kind of like willing yourself to keep going.
At that point, you're just trying to get out of the pain that you're in. You're just trying to get those basic needs back. So you're not thinking like of why you're out there, why you're doing this. And I had experienced these feelings before on previous races, but nothing ever like this before. This was a whole different magnitude because I had pushed long past that point of where it's telling you to stop. I was at this new point where my brain starts rationalizing with me and it's trying to make it make sense. And it's telling me, okay, why did I come out here? I wanted to go further than I've ever gone before. I wanted to push myself to a whole different level, a new limit. And I had done that. Everybody always says like, you don't drop out unless you've slept, had some food, and then you can make the decision. So that's what I did. Once I was able to kind of meet those basic needs again, said I don't have a good reason not to quit now, and I set out to complete this thing, and I'm gonna do it. And as soon as I took my first step out of that aid station, that was it. There was no turning back. And so at that point, it was in my head like, no matter how hard this is, you're doing it. And that's just what you signed up for. This is what you wanted. You wanted something hard that was gonna challenge yourself. And this is exactly that moment right now. And so I put my headphones in and I went out into the night and was able to complete the rest of the race.
So those last 2 miles were actually, I was probably moving some of the best I'd moved, just because when I tried to hold back, because it's like, ooh, I'm stiff and tight, when I just let it loose, my legs would kind of loosen up. So I actually was starting to run the downhills faster than I thought I would. Finally, you get out of like the trail coming down, you hit like this little road and you start like hearing and seeing. You hear people start to cheer, you start to come to people who are directing you where to go, or like you cross a few roads, so they're like stopping traffic and they're just like, you're almost there, like keep going. And that's when like that adrenaline just kicks in again, even though you think it won't, because you're like, I've used up my glands have secreted as much hormones as they can to like keep me going. But I was like, okay, like you start to get a little hyped up and then you're moving, you start to pick up the pace a little bit, and then you see that finish line, it's just like, it's kind of like surreal and a weird, like full circle experience because of the training leading up to it. It takes so long. Then you're like, I just want the race to be here. And then finally you make it to the race, and then finally you're at the end, and it's, wow, it's like, oh man, I did it. I know a lot of people like break down and cry, and I was like, maybe I will cry. I guess it depends how I feel.
This one was really special because during that bargaining time, I think I kind of found what I was looking for, where, I asked myself like, how far is far enough? And it gave me a lot of clarity. With a race of this magnitude, and with the difficulty that I was experiencing for so long, it gave me the confidence that I can do whatever I put my mind to. Racing aside, anything in life, when things get tough, I know that I have what it takes to push beyond that. These little things that happen in life is like, compared to that massive thing, is like minuscule. And so it just makes everything in life so much easier after that.
Come on, kids! Come on, Alex!
Once you sort of accomplish that one thing where you didn't think you could do it, then you kind of get that feeling of like, I wonder what else I can do. That's kind of how I felt after this race, was that I kind of blew the ceiling off of what I had for myself. And now that anything is possible, and I'm pretty confident that I'll find a way to get it done.
I think being able to prove to myself that I can do something really hard if you put in the time, put in the effort, and then tell yourself that you're not gonna quit, even if you really want to. Like coming through that and going through that journey and telling myself, no, you actually can do this thing that you thought at one point was impossible for you to do. That made finishing this one just extra special and very, very sweet.
Will you do 240 again?
Hell no. Yeah, that was good. 240 is good. Am I pretty?